Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about the Atom Project. I generally like time travel movies. I think they're really interesting. It's just a concept I like to watch movies about. So at first I wasn't going to see this, although when I watched the trailer I was like, oh, there might be something to this. I might be into it. And I've gotten the impression some people either really don't like it or really do like it. I actually do quite like this movie. I got that it was a Ryan Reynolds film directed by Sean Levy. That doesn't mean the coolest or most different or weirder or interesting movie in the world. But I do actually think they pulled off something a little interesting here. I often think one of the things with this film is it is directed in a very now way. It's probably a lot more fun to watch this movie in like 20, 30 years than it will be to watch it now. So if in 20, 30 years people are more into this film, I wouldn't be surprised. But I get that like Ryan Reynolds' shtick can be obnoxious. We all remember Red Notice. But the Atom Project is an interesting idea. Basically, it's Ryan Reynolds is a future space pilot person who uses time travel to go back and stop someone who has basically patented time travel, and time travel has made the world a crazy, horrible place, even though we never actually see how horrible or crazy, but we'll just take his word for it. And he has to go back to basically stop his dad from creating time travel. He goes back a little too early and meets his 12-year-old self, who, after his dad died 2 years earlier, has to use his 12-year-old self to then go back in time, deal with his dad, stop the invention of time travel, and also get his jet pilot wife, who's Zoe Saldana, as well. I will say I'm a sucker for these kind of films. I did like how this goes, but I also I think one of the things about this film that really sticks out for a time travel thing is, one, in time travel stuff, you don't normally deal with yourself. In this, Ryan Reynolds deals with his 12-year-old self, and if you've ever been my age and you wake up in the middle of the night and remember something you said when you were 12 to somebody, pretty much everything you could have ever said is humiliating and embarrassing. And if you were confronted with that, you would honestly want to start fighting yourself or something. I don't know. You would definitely be like, oh my god, I'm so much worse. I was a mouthy kid like this, and I was like, yeah, I would have some words. That kid, oh my god. And they do go into it, and there are certain things that, like how you treat your parents as a kid, and not because I'm a parent now. It's honestly, I thought more of it is like embarrassing, horrible things you do to your parents when you're a kid, and I like that was reflected in that. I thought that was nice. But I also like the idea that the kind of buddy comedy of Ryan Reynolds and Walter Scobell, who plays kind of a Ryan Reynolds type, it did seem like they actually spent time on that charisma, like did some acting exercises. I don't know exactly. Maybe he's just like that. I've heard a couple people comment on like, oh, Ryan Reynolds was just fully formed, but like he was always like that. But in my mind, like there was like definite differences between the two, and like people are sort of similar. Like you ever meet someone in 20 years, you're like, oh, I can see that person. Some people aren't, but other people are. That didn't bother me. Those elements, particularly the family ones, I thought were really strong. But I think, yeah, I will agree that this is kind of almost like a very high budget movie that almost like doesn't have the aspirations to sort of be a high budget film. Like all the villains are dressed in the same fucking thing. It looks like less than what it costs somehow. Sean Levy doesn't really want to get into the weird aspects of time travel. Like this is not like Predestination or anything like that. Which I think is like, yeah, time travel movies can get super fucking weird. I think this is sort of like a more normal mainstream one. Obviously Ryan Reynolds is in it, and he's not interesting enough to be cool or weird at this point, but he I feel like he refuses. I kind of just like the ride of this. I was fine with like its blockbusterness. I thought everyone was pretty good. I liked Jennifer Garner as the mom. I get that she plays these roles a lot. I thought she was pretty decent in playing this role a lot. I liked Mark Ruffalo as his dad, although I kind of feel like Joel McHale would have been a better choice to play Ryan Reynolds' dad. Like, come on, like there's like they've been quippy with each other, would have been funny, but whatever. Mark Ruffalo, fine. Yeah, the casting isn't surprising. Yes, it's shot in a way that's just like any other movie. Absolutely. I didn't expect this much pushback, because I just thought it's a fine little blockbuster sci-fi movie, and from the director of Real Steel, who hasn't really made a sci-fi movie since Real Steel, I think, unless we're counting some of his other stuff. He just doesn't, I guess Free Guy, but Free Guy was really bad. I like this a lot more than Free Guy. This is more of like a movie I would have liked when I was 12. It's not really that deep. Could it be? Abso-fucking-lutely. Tom Cruise was originally supposed to star in this, and it just got stuck in development hell at some point. Not sure where it went from there. And stars meeting their younger selves, I guess, with Gemini Man and other stuff, which I actually didn't see Gemini Man. I should do that. Has become a thing, but I liked what this was doing. This is a fine film to probably watch with like a family or something like that, and you'll appreciate each other and cry a little bit, and then watch people get obliterated. They do a few obliterated into space time, which whoa. They do try to do the de-aging thing, which I don't get. What I don't get about the de-aging stuff is like, unless you do them, why is it always good in the Marvel movies? But like everything else, it looks like totally horrible. Like I never had a problem with Sam Jackson in Captain Marvel or something like that. And now it's like, in all the others, it's like, did they just hire all the best people? I don't understand. It's like, looks so bad. Just, if it's going to look that bad, just cast somebody else. And they have Catherine Keener do it. And in my mind, like when you see the DH one, you're like, I feel like there's like a bunch of actresses you could have gotten to do that. And it would look so much better if you just got an actress to do that. Like, I don't understand. People do look dramatically different when you start to get into, like, 50, 60 years. Like, it's totally appropriate. Like, I don't understand. De-aging stuff is cool, but we've gone, like, way too far. And, and Catherine Keener, it's sad that Catherine Keener totally stinks in this movie. She's very bad. And she has 2 roles. I like Catherine Keener, but she was not so great in this. I know a lot of people forget she's in it even. She's very horrible. But, look, this is a decent, good sci-fi film. I grew up liking sci-fi and comic books. This is the kind of film I'd watch and go, hey, that was pretty good, and I might watch it again. It's not a huge, impactful thing. Yes, Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy have too much power, and there's going to be too many eyeballs on this thing. Yes, I would like this film to be deeper, and no, it is not my favorite time travel movie, but look, life is hard right now, not just for me, but like for everybody, and I think I've expressed this a few times. I sort of am like, hey, let's just accept that, like, it's pretty nice to see a decent kind of fun blockbuster movie, and I think that's what this is. It was a decently constructed, good blockbuster time travel thing. It did the family thing a little bit. It had action sequences that weren't too surprising, even though they have a cool lightsaber thing. Like, you could have had a duel or something. Like, it's just like, I mean, I guess why are there 2 Sean Levy, Ryan Reynolds lightsaber movies? Like, what the fuck? That just occurred to me. And this is so much better than Free Guy was bad. I didn't review it because, like, my son was about to be born and stuff, and so it just didn't happen for whatever reason, but it's probably better it didn't. It would just be me complaining. The Adam Project, I think, is more of it's just like a decent, solid blockbuster sci-fi film. It doesn't try to be anything more than it is. If you had a more adventurous director who wasn't Sean Levy, it did feel like this was like a little far for him, but like he's I wouldn't say I'd call him a journeyman or something. I'd say he's like a pretty banal studio director who got very lucky producing Stranger Things. I think he's made some decent stuff, but visually and aesthetically he's very boring. I would put this higher in his filmography than probably people would expect from me. I had a decent time with this. I think this is a decent, solid sci-fi film. I know lots of people, I've talked to people who like sci-fi who enjoy this film and had a good time with it. And I think that's kind of one of those things you watch and you go, you have a decent time with, you have a beer with, and it's over. I don't think it'll be the most impactful one, and I generally sort of liked Ryan Reynolds in this, and I'm not a Ryan Reynolds person. It's not a real standout film. It's just kind of a film I enjoyed, and so maybe this is a weak review because I'm just like, I had a decent enough time with this. This is sort of what I needed this week to get me through in my life, and that's all this really was. I'm not, if you're like, this movie looks like garbage and I'm not seeing this bullshit, then, it's not, Kimmy is the movie I think you should see. This is like, if you're into this stuff, I'm sure you'll like it. If you're not, then don't, I guess. Sort of like, hey, if you're here for it, you'll have a good time. If you're not, then, you know what, it's fine, I guess. It's not wholly remarkable. It doesn't do anything with a pretty cool storytelling device, which is time travel. You're just sort of like, it is exactly, goes as deep as you think Sean Levy would go, which isn't really deep at all. Yeah, but if you're okay with meeting it to that level, see, it's really hard to talk about this movie without even if you like it, sort of disregarding it, which is not an endorsement at all. But I had a decent enough time with it. I think it like wants to make you believe it knows what Amblin is, and that's not even that deep. Who am I kidding? You know who Amblin is? Fucking kidding me? All right, yeah, it's you know what? It's a decent normie time travel movie, but that's what I guess I needed last week, and I'm sharing it with the internet. All right, if you like sort of time travel nonsense, I'm sure you'll have a decent enough entertaining time looking at yourself on your camera, shooting a YouTube video, thinking about how maybe this sort of was decent enough that you should talk about, and realizing maybe there's nothing there, but shouldn't I acknowledge that I had an okay time at a newer movie, I guess. So if you've seen The Adam Project and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.